Good evening, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed looking at that picture of a much younger and much better put together Logan Gatti. Let's, like I said, my name's Logan Gatti. I'm the chair of the Louisville Democratic Party. And if you're watching this, you're probably already engaged in the reorganization process with the Louisville Democratic Party. This is just a short session that we'll put on just to answer any sort of lingering questions now that we've closed the nomination portal for our precinct individuals, and you should be getting information as we speak about whether or not there is a contested race in your precinct or whether or not there will be an election and how to get engaged. So just keep an eye out for those. And if you have any questions, just reply to that email message and we'll get them sorted out. First off, I do want to apologize for the roughly 12 to 14 hour delay in getting those out. We had a lot more people sign up than we thought. And when we're talking about making sure that we include everyone, we just want to make sure that if there's any sort of small discrepancies that we get those taken care of. So we got those all handled and we're on our way. So let's go ahead and dive into the presentation. Actually, first, let me make sure that I introduce Beth Thorpe, our communications chair.
Hey, everybody. If you do have questions that are specific, go ahead and put them in the wherever you're on YouTube or on Facebook in the comments, and we can pop them on the screen at a certain point, and I'll go back and look for them. But yeah, put your questions on there as you have them. I might, if I see something that seems like very pertinent, I may stop you, Logan. But beyond that, let's.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, go ahead.
Can we pop the slide presentation in? Awesome, thank you. So this is going to look pretty similar to what you might have seen in a previous presentation that we did right at the start of this whole process. So this is a quick refresher for everyone. So we are past the closing of the registration and nomination portal for the precinct elections. So we're sort of in between that electronic ballot period and the nomination period close time on this timeline right now. We had an incredible number of people sign up to be precinct leaders. It was much more than we had in 2021, and by as far as I can tell, a lot more than we had in 2016. So that's as far back as I go as it relates to politics in Louisville. So I would say that we're in decent company right now with how effective we were with our outreach and getting people engaged in the process. I think we were pushing close to 500 people that were registered to participate in the precinct elections, which was absolutely fantastic. And so that's just wonderful to see. Like I mentioned, you should be getting emails about the voting process, whether or not there is a contested race within your precinct. And if you are a nominee, whether or not you have a specific contested race that you have to worry about. So you basically will have the email information of people that are voters within your precinct. And then you can reach out to those individuals, do a quick introduction if you would like. That's not required. It's just something that you might want to do. At the very least, just to say, hello, I'm a fellow Democrat that lives in your precinct, and let's try and make things better in our neighborhood. So essentially what's going to happen is on May 8th, on that morning, you're going to receive a electronic ballot from election runner. I think there was some information in the email about how that's going to work. The election runner ballot is relatively straightforward. Essentially, you click that link that's in your email, and you'll be given a couple of choices about individuals to vote for, and then you're done. It truly shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds to complete this process. And I apologize for my dogs barking. So basically what that means is we're going to have a 2-day window where you can complete that process. We understand that sometimes there's issues with email. So, if you're getting to like late on the 8th or early on the 9th, and you're just not seeing anything, and you really, really think like you should be seeing something from election runner or from us, feel free to let us know, and we can try and figure out what the issue is there. But basically, if you have received an email from us today regarding the election, you are already on that list to be receiving information regarding a contested election. Now, obviously, if there is no contested election in your precinct, then you don't have to do anything. It's all been taken care of. We would love to see you at our county convention on the 17th, but that's not mandatory. But hey, it's a great time to connect with Democrats, see what's going on, and try and get more involved in the party. There's no elections this year, so it's all about planning and prepping to make sure that we're getting to a space where we're effective and successful in our elections in 2026 and beyond. So really quickly, like I mentioned, the precinct ballots are going to go out on the 8th. They will close at 11:59 p.m. on the 10th, which is a Saturday. We will announce the winners of all those contested elections, as well as, just a general announcement of the other individuals that ran that didn't have contested races on May 12th. So we'll take essentially that Sunday to sort of sort through all the votes and figure out who's won. And then we'll put together that entire list of the precinct leaders. And that will be our precinct leadership for Louisville, Kentucky for the next 4 years. And just as a note to throw out there, this is something to think about a little bit later on down the line. If there's someone that perhaps missed this and wants to get engaged in a precinct and there is a vacancy, just let us know. We have the ability to identify individuals that want to be precinct leaders, and if there is a vacancy, to put them in those roles. It's not going to happen during this process right now. It'll have to wait until the very end, after we've solidified everything here locally in the actual reorganization process, but just something for everyone to keep in mind. On the 17th, actually, let me move forward. So yes, precinct elections, this is what we're voting for right now. There are 3 people, man, woman, and youth. And there were 881 positions that were up for grabs this time around. And I think we were pushing, 250, 275 that were filled up this time. So a market improvement over what we had last time around. So well done, everyone. I appreciate your involvement in this whole process. I know it's been a little bit confusing. I felt that way when I first went through the process. It kind of just takes someone like me, I guess, in this webinar, kind of explaining how it goes and answering any questions that you might have. All right, so let's talk about the May 17th elections. The May 17th convention. So after we complete our precinct elections and we figure out who the precinct leadership is throughout the city, all of those precinct leaders are going to come together on May 17th for the county convention. And those are the individuals that can vote. Now, if you just want to attend, you're more than welcome to do that. So essentially the task of the precinct leaders at that time will be to select a chair and a vice chair that will be represented on the county executive committee. These positions are obviously, there's 18 precincts, 18 legislative districts. Those mimic your House districts. So I live in District 42, represented by Joshua Watkins. Beth lives in District 38, represented by Rachel Rourks. So we both represent, respectively, District 42 with regards to me and 38 with regards to Beth. So basically, each one of our legislative districts is going to have a chair and a vice chair on the executive committee. The individuals that are voting for these LD chairs and vice chairs are the precinct leaders. Now, you can still attend and witness the elections and whatnot, but in order to vote, you have to be a precinct leader, either a man, woman, or youth in that specific legislative district. So, there's 25 or 30 precincts per legislative district. So the leaders of those 25 to 30 will all come together and they'll elect one person to represent that legislative district on executive committee. There is a caveat, as always, with the chair and vice chair positions. Those have to be of differing genders. So if there is a man that is elected to a LD chair position, there cannot be a man in the vice chair position. That's been the rule for as long as I can remember, I think. It's very important to ensuring that there is diversity of viewpoints and individuals on our executive committee. So that's one piece of the county convention. Now, one thing that sorry, dogs are going crazy because the wife has just arrived home. The one thing to note is that there are other things that are up for grabs right now. One of those things is the state convention delegates, I should say. So every reorganization, just like we do, like we're sort of building these blocks where you've got the precinct at the smallest level, then we're doing the counties, and then we're going to go up to the state level. So basically, when we are talking about the legislative districts having their representation, the numbers look a little bit like this. So depending on the number of registered Democrats, each legislative district will have a certain number of delegates to the state convention. So if we're looking at this list, like District 41 and District 34, those are very, very Democratic districts with a lot of Democratic voters. Those will have a higher number of representatives or delegates that could attend the convention compared to District 37 or District perhaps 40 or 12. That's actually surprising, but those, obviously didn't have as many Democrats turn out at the last go round, so those have a smaller allocation. It's even surprising to look at my district, District 42, only having 15, considering we're probably the most Democratic district as far as ratios from Democrats to Republicans in the entire state. So that's just interesting to look at. But these are the numbers that we can send from each legislative district. So if you are interested in being a delegate to the state convention, you can sign up and you can be on that ballot to essentially be voted on to be a state delegate. If you have already registered to be a precinct leader at some point in time or registered to be a precinct participant, you have already been credentialed, so you don't need to sign up again. Basically, you're already on this big old list that we have of people that we've confirmed where you live and your other voter information. So we know your information. We know that you're a registered Democrat. That's why you can sort of just walk into our county convention without, stopping at the welcome desk and saying, here's who I am. Please look me up in the voter rolls. The interesting thing about the legislative district chair, I'll go back to the previous slide real quick. This is an important note here. Elections, only precinct leaders may vote, but anyone may run for an LD position. So you do not have to be a precinct leader in order to run for the LD positions. You also do not have to be a precinct leader to run for a state delegate position as well. So if you run for a precinct, let's say you run for a precinct position and you don't win, that's not the end of the road for you. Like you're still very much in this process, and we want you to remain engaged. If you lose your precinct election, you can still run for LD chair or vice chair. You can still run to be a state convention delegate. The only sort of issue there is that you can't vote in that election for those positions. However, that's obviously not a deal breaker. Some of these precincts are crazy busy. Some of them aren't as busy, aren't as populated, don't have as many people running for these positions. So there is an opportunity for you to still run and win and remain a part of this whole reorganization process. So I encourage you to remain involved in some capacity, no matter what happens with the precinct elections that are coming up this weekend. So let's go back to the state convention delegate information. The state convention will be held on June 15th at the Owensboro Convention Center. And as you might be well aware, the Owensboro Convention Center is in Owensboro. It is not in Louisville. That is a change. They have moved the state convention from Louisville to Owensboro. I would love nothing more than to have a great group of Democrats go to Owensboro and walk all over Mitch McConnell Park as we sort of launch ourselves into success in 2026 and beyond. So I think it's going to be a great time. I would highly encourage you all to attend that. It's great to be connected with Democrats from around the state. And there is a little added bonus to this piece as well. On June 14th, there is going to be a pre-convention dinner with the Kentucky Democratic Party, and there is a special speaker, Mr. Ken Martin from the DNC. So it would be great to see him in person. It would be great to to get involved and to make sure that he's hearing our voices heard. And so it's going to be a fantastic time. Let me answer a question real quick. So if we are a precinct leader, we are automatically nominated for election as state delegate. Now, the way it's going to work, if you're a precinct leader, you can run. Not everyone is automatically, there's no automatically, basically. You still have to sort of raise your hand and say, I nominate myself or I nominate Susan to run for a state delegate position. Now, the way it works in a lot of districts is there's probably not as many people that show up that would fill out all these spots. So in some of these districts, we'll only have 10 or 12 people that will show up, maybe less, even like 5 or 6 in some of these where we have generally low turnout. So basically, that's one of those positions where if everyone raises their hand and says, we want to be state convention delegates, you're going to get it. If you live in, let's say, like the Highlands or Crescent Hill area, that's going to be another story. There might only be 26 people that show up that are precinct leaders, but in all likelihood, there might be a few more that are there. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully, it's a simple process where we're just finding. So we nominate ourselves with that link in the chat. No. So basically, everything that's going to happen is on the floor. So when we're talking about the LD chair positions and the state delegate convention, the state convention delegates, I keep on swapping those words, everything is going to be floor nomination driven. So you can technically announce that you want to run beforehand. If you would like to reach out to individuals in your precinct or in your district, you can say, hey, I want to run for LD chair. And we would be happy to provide you with the information of people that are that are precinct leaders in your area. But no, the only time that we actually had the sort of nomination form was for precinct, just because there are 627 precincts and it's a little bit hard to track all of those. So no, basically the way it's going to work is on May 17th, we'll all convene at JCTC at Hartford Hall at 10 a.m. We'll all gather, we'll kick off the convention, we'll break out into individual rooms. So each LD will have their own room. And then we'll say, hey, everyone's here. Here's the voting members of this group. Great, we know who those people are. Are there any nominations for chair? Great. Are there any nominations for vice chair? Great. Let's vote on those two things. Let's vote on, are there any nominations for state convention delegate? Great. Let's vote on those, and then we're out. For some folks, that might only take 25 minutes or so. For other folks, it might take an hour, hour and a half. It's kind of similar to what happened when we did the DNC selection last year, where we had, districts that got done in 15 minutes, and we had districts that took 2 hours. It's just a matter of how many people are running and a number of other factors as well. So the process should be relatively simple for everyone. But yes, if you are interested in running for those. Just a little confused still. Is the link above just for qualifying people? So if you have already registered to be a precinct leader, then you are already basically credentialed and qualified to run. The link above is just additional information, and for people that didn't participate in the precinct side of things. So, if there's a friend that missed the nomination period in April, they can sign up online just to make sure that they're credentialed. I mean, truthfully, you could show up the day of without credentialing, but we don't want you to do that, just because it adds another hiccup for us, because then we'll have to look you up on the spot, and it just might take a few minutes. And if everyone's doing that, then we'll have a line, that's 45 minutes long, and it'll just delay things. So if you have already signed up to be a precinct leader or a precinct participant, you do not have to go and re-register. If you did not go through that process, you should go through this process and register to be a state delegate. And I hope that clears it up. I know the process is very complicated. Like I totally understand it. And so that's why we're doing this thing, just to make sure that we're clearing the air. I think there's one more quick slide. So again, and at the state convention, it's a great time. There's two pieces to state convention. One is the congressional district elections, where we will elect individuals from the congressional districts to sit on the state central executive committee. And then there's the quote unquote state convention, where the state elects at-large members and they conduct state party business. So two separate pieces, but all done on the same day. You could truly just, state convention is June 14th. Are we sure? Is that? I thought it was the 15th. The 15th is a Saturday, I thought.
The 15th is a Sunday, and it's Father's Day. As many people are accurately saying that they're freaking out that it's Father's Day, we would not be that dumb.
Oh.
No, we're not on Father's Day. It's the 14th. The 14th is a Saturday.
Sorry about that. It is June 14th. My mistake. Lots of dates flying around, and it's post-Derby, so please forgive me for that one. Yeah, so state convention is Saturday, June 14th, and I'll make sure that we correct that in all of our communications as well. Which means that the dinner, the pre-convention dinner, is on June 13th, which is a Friday evening. So if you would like, you could just drive up the day of to Owensboro and leave immediately after, or you can stay the night. It's up to you. It's always a good time, and it's always great hanging out with fellow Democrats. And like I said, we are sending out all the emails regarding the precinct elections today. You should be receiving those. I mean, they're kind of getting tiered in their release, just because we're sending out so many of those. So like I got one a little while ago, and I think I'm getting another one here in like the next 10 minutes about my precinct information, because I'm in a contested race. So just give it a little while for the system to work its magic. There's just a lot of information to kind of go through right now. Beth, are there any other pertinent questions in the chat?
I'm seeing, hold on one second. I'm seeing some conversation in the chat about carpooling, and I think carpooling would be a great thing to do. And I will create some infrastructure that people who want to drive and who want to ride, and that's a great idea. And let's see, I'm looking right here. I think this is a really great question.
Is there a rough
Yes.
timeline for how long the county convention will take? Have a newborn? Oh no, and or congratulations, but that, I know it's complicated. And even a rough estimate would be helpful for planning in the house. So it truly depends on where you live. Now, if you, let's just there, I don't want to be over ambitious with how quickly this could be done, but let's just say we'll convene at 10:30. We'll officially, or sorry, we'll convene at 10 o'clock. We'll officially kick things off, 5 or 10 minutes after 10, just to give people time to get settled. We'll hear from some guest speakers, and then let's just say we'll get things kicked off roughly around 10:30, and then we'll break out into our legislative districts. Those could be done as quickly as 10 to 15 minutes, I want to say, if there's only 6 or 7 people in the district. And if there's a lot, it could take 2 hours. I mean, honestly, that was sort of the window that we saw for the DNC selections that we did last time. I was in District 42, and we got ours done within 20 minutes.
If you're in District 34 or 41, those are through the Highlands, right? Do you live in the Highlands or anywhere around there? Those are longer. I mean, like, of all of those, let's see. I also want to add on, there is coffee and donuts at 9 o'clock at the convention. So even if you have, like, I know a lot of people have other, it's post Derby. It's the first Saturday past Derby. There's a lot going on. There's people graduating. If you want to swing by and have donuts and coffee with us and get to wherever you need to go because you'd like to meet people, that's fair too. You're all welcome at. All right, I'm going to keep getting on gears. I'm going to answer this one because I'm comms. Susan, for everybody who's ready to go, I am so excited. But there will be guidance once the convention's over and once your new LD chair and vice chair are elected. They will help. We will have guidance for all sorts of what to put out, how to organize, and materials for you. So and I'm your gal if you have questions on that too. If there's things that you're wanting, I can help with that if you have specifics.
So what was, just curious, what was Emily's question regarding
social media? They wanted to know if they were ready to go. They won the race. They wanted, they're like ready to tell everybody, and which I'm here for this kind of excitement. So I'm only slightly saying, hold up a second. I'm like, don't lose that energy.
Yeah. So the official sort of announcement for all winners is going to be on May 12th. So it's only 6 days away from now. So, yes, and Owensboro is on Central Time. So we would gain, we would, I forget. We could leave at 10.
Time we goes back.
Yeah. So you would leave at 10 and basically arrive at 10.
Or 11 instead of 12.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour drive. Yeah, roughly. Okay.
Here's a good one.
If we are voting for precinct election, how do we find out about the candidates? So, I mean, this is what's interesting about this whole process. We are providing the candidates with email information for everyone that is a voter. It has been recommended to individuals that they reach out to folks that they are that are voters in their precincts so that they can introduce themselves. Now, that's not a requirement for folks. Honestly, what you could do is you could reach out to them on social media. I mean, like I said, there are people running in my race, in my precinct race. Like, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to connect with them on social media or in some capacity just to make sure that they know who I am and I know who they are, and we can sort of remain connected and figure out what we can do for our area. So yeah, I would just say there might be a little self-research there, but hopefully the individuals that are running will make the time to connect with you as well. If only 2 men are up, if it is a tie, can both serve if no women or youth? So that is a very good question. The tiebreaker rules are determined by KDP. If there is a tie, if there is a vacancy in the women or youth, what has been allowed this time through the bylaw changes is we can switch up, basically file a waiver to allow for two individuals that would be of the same gender to both have a position. So that's essentially like in a lot of areas in the state, it's just like you kind of take what you can get for people that want to remain involved. And there's a lot of areas within Louisville that are sort of that way as well, unfortunately. So essentially, we don't want to preclude people from having a official position within the party just because there are these restrictions. Now, we have to go through this process first in order to like fully confirm that there was no interest in a youth or a woman position in the precinct. Once we have sort of confirmed that by going through the process, then we can say, hey, KDP, we have these two great individuals that were running for this position. Only one of them can take it, but since there's no one there to take it, let's file a waiver and let's get them both involved as precinct leaders. So that's sort of the way that we'll handle it there. Can you all explain how some precincts have races and others don't? So basically what was the background work to determine? So basically, if there was two individuals that decided to run, then there is a race. That's basically just the way it happens. We're just finding out now because we opened up that nomination period for 30 days. And after we reviewed all the registrations and nominations, we determined, okay, here's where people that live in the same precinct have both filed to run for one specific position. That's kind of how we understand what they're running for. So it's basically similar to what happens when two people run for any position in the party. So if you've got two people run for Metro Council, there's a primary, and then that person wins. So basically, you have two people that run in the same district for the same position, and if more than one person files for that position, then there will be a race, and we have to determine who is running in that position. Now, if nobody challenged someone, if there's only one person that ran for that position, then there's no election. So that makes it a whole lot easier for folks. Typically it's those heavily Democratic areas where you're going to see some of those precinct elections, just because there's a lot of people that are engaged that are in close proximity to each other. But yeah, it is truly just like a election process that you would see at any level. If more than one person runs, then there's an election, and if not, then the person is elected by affirmation, and we don't have to have an election. How can we find the responsibilities of the LDC and state delegates? That is a good question. So, and hey, Rowan, good to see you. That information is, I believe that we posted some of that information on our louisvilledems.com/reorg.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the chair positions, yes, that information has been posted. For the state delegate position, for the most part, those are positions where you're there to vote for individuals that are going to represent you on state central executive committee and the individuals that will be representing the state at large. The duties beyond that are honestly fairly limited. For the most part, a lot of the party work is done by the state central executive committee and by the KDP staff up there. So that's truly the breadth of the responsibilities for those state delegates. I will say it is a very useful position to have, at the very least, because it's good to go up to Owensboro and it's good to learn from Kentuckians that are doing the work across the state. I know it's been extremely helpful for me, especially when we're talking about making up ground in northern Kentucky and eastern Kentucky, where we've had strongholds in the past, but just have sort of lost our way over the last 5-10 years or so. I received information that the same two people who are in contested races are the ones credentialed to vote. Yeah, so that is a situation that does happen from time to time. Basically, we're going to have to go through the KDP tie-breaking rules. If I'm reading this correctly, essentially what's going to happen is one person will vote for themselves and the other person will vote for the other person. The tiebreaker rules, I'll have to look them up real quick, but we can distribute these as well in a separate email. I don't want to misinform.
Let me hop in on this because I had conversations on this in bylaws. Also, one of the things with the bylaws that happened in the last with the state, there, like Logan just said, there was some flexibility built in, and the bottom line is this: if there's only a couple people that have signed up, right? You're like, how does that work? How do we vote? Do we each vote for each other? Here's the thing with that waiver, the goal really is if there's interested people that want to sign up and help work, that waiver is there to make sure that you'll end up both being there, is how it's going to work. If there's just two, right? And so, but the main goal that the roles about diversity were put in the early 70s to make sure that it's just not all dudes, you know, and older ones, right? So we have to put that good, you know, we have to be able to do that first. But in general, if there's only two, that's how that'll work.
Yeah, and I knew this was the answer, and I truly hate that this is the way that that it goes down. But the actual language is, in the event that a vote of the convention results in a tie, the winner shall be immediately determined by a runoff for only those persons involved in the tie vote. Now, if there's only two people voting and they're going to vote for themselves, once again, if the runoff results in a tie, the opposing parties or candidates shall flip a coin immediately in the presence of convention to decide a winner. So it is it is the good old coin flip for a lot of these positions. I mean, here's what I'll say. At the end of the day, I just want to make sure that we're getting people engaged. So once we complete the reorganization process in its formal manner, then we'll go back and we'll make sure that people have an opportunity to take these positions. We're more than happy to file these waivers. You know, it's something that we didn't take advantage of. Our goal here is to get more people engaged in more of these projects and more of these positions than we have in the past. So we're willing to do whatever we can to make sure that people have positions in these. So, I mean, it's the coin flip. I hate it, but it's just the way that it's been set up to be. And it goes down to that in a lot of these races, unfortunately, but it's just the way it's going to be. Can you be a council person and also be a precinct leader? If you're referring to a Metro Council person, then yes. We actually, I mean, honestly, I would encourage our elected officials to be engaged in the party in official capacities. I think it's very important. I know that there are a couple that have signed up to be in those positions already. Now, you know, again, these are positions where there are responsibilities associated with them. So just like anyone else, we're expecting people that have these precinct leadership positions to do the work associated with them. So yeah, there aren't really any restrictions on who can be a precinct leader. The only stipulations that exist there are you have to be a registered Democrat and you have to live in the district. And that is literally the only stipulation. Who votes? How does one campaign if you have a contested race? Yeah, so we discussed that a little bit earlier, but yeah, the answer is anyone that signed up to be a voter in the precinct is a voter, and we were going to distribute that information to you if you are in a contested race. How does one campaign if you have a contested race? Basically, you have the ability to email the individuals that are voters within your precinct to make sure that they know who you are and give them a reason to vote for you. So that's the quick answer there. How do I know what legislative district I'm in? I'm brand new to this. So it's, I know this is probably not going to be helpful if you're not super familiar. The legislative district is the same as the House district. So if you know who your House district person is, you can look them up. You can also go to, Beth, you can go to the Secretary of State's site to look that up as well.
I'm pulling it up and putting it in the chat.
Yeah, there's
If you're in
ways
the chat, there's a link and you can review your registration and it'll tell you what your House district and legislative district is.
Yeah. So the legislative district is the House district. It might be abbreviated as HD or something else. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm checking. I think there's more.
Sorry, what's that?
Here we go. This is a good one.
What are precinct leader responsibilities? So we have a lot of those listed at louisvilledems.com/reorg, or specifically, is louisvilledems.com/precinct still active?
Reorg is going to be probably the better place to go.
Yeah, so just go to louisvilledems.com/reorg. In short, the responsibilities are, we're going to cascade information down to you regarding events, regarding candidates, regarding just basically anything that's happening that's newsworthy, or that we think that individuals that are official representatives of the party would like to know and disseminate amongst their neighborhood. So we're asking people pitch in an hour or two every month, and that'll be sort of the requirement that we're asking of you. We like to set the expectation that you need to do something, because a lot of that hasn't happened in the past. Idris, good to see you, man. Would you lose your position as precinct leader if you relocated to a different district? Yes. So if you move, your voter registration updates and you'll no longer be a representative of that area. However, if you do move, please let us know. And if you are running for a position, or if there's an open position, we would love to find you a place to remain active.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
Can I still be an election officer?
Roz is on. Roz, I saw you you're the one who needs to answer this question.
My gut says yes, because Roz was a election officer.
Yeah, I think you can, but yeah, I mean, because she's the vice chair and she works as an election officer. So yes, she's done it. So
yeah,
I would think so. The Lou Dems link. What Lou Dems link you want? Give me a little more info. Which one? The website?
The loudems.com/reorg.
It's in there somewhere. It's up higher. Let me just do it again. Let's see. We've got some more. Yes.
Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, the Lou Dems.
Can you share a link for precinct leadership? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for responsibilities. Oh, okay. I thought you meant, can you share the responsibilities for leadership? I misread that. My apologies.
You're good.
Oh, this is a really good question. Why is it a reorg? That is a great question. Reorganization. I think that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very philosophical question. So essentially, every 4 years, the party wipes the slate clean. There's no more DNC. There's no more state central executive. There's no more county. There's no more precinct people. It all gets built from the ground up. So it's a nice opportunity, a phoenix rising from the ashes, essentially. If there happens to be a sort of new movement that's happening, people can organize and make sure that their voices are heard at various levels of the party infrastructure, whether that's the county or the state or the national level. So we do it every 4 years. Traditionally, it's been on the year of a presidential election cycle, but Kentucky moved it back 1 year to an off year. just to give folks a little bit more time and breathing room to organize around it. So that's why we do it. It's essentially the opportunity to start over, to make sure that we're electing active individuals and making sure that people are held accountable. I mean, this is truly just an accountability test. I'm the county party chair, and I have to go through the precinct election process just like anyone else. That's just the benefit of being in a transparent and open organization and an open party. So I very much look forward to getting involved and seeing you all more involved over the next couple of weeks and the next 4 years too. If you end up being a official member of the party in a leadership capacity.
I would like to, I think questions are calming down, but I want to say something. We had to do a lot of emails in an automated fashion. And we had a lot, suddenly we realized we had a lot of detail to send people. And in the process of doing it, I think there's one of the emails, I think the data might've been in the wrong place. And so I've gotten a few emails back that people have said, I've got an email that said it was to be someone else. We're going to figure it out. And we'll resend it, whatever it is, whatever the deal is. And I put both Logan's and my email in the chat if you have questions.
Yeah, and truly feel free to reach out to us. I mean, like I said, we're here to answer any questions. This is a long, arduous, and complicated process that we're trying to make
Simplify.
a little bit more simple and make it a little bit more accessible for folks, just because it hasn't been in the past. I told the story about how I was boxed out in 2016, and my entire purpose of doing it this way in 2025 was to make sure that no one felt how I did in 2016. So I get it. Like, I understand that it's not going to be totally, digestible to a lot of folks, but I'm hoping that by doing it online and by putting out all this information and doing these sessions, that it's a little bit more accessible for everyone.
Hold on. Okay.
You may have said this, but will we have a chance to vote for you, Logan? Is that
There you go. That's a good question.
Yeah. So if you live in the 42nd district, you will. So yeah, we're. I don't want to campaign for myself right now because that's not what this is about. But basically, yeah, if you live on the 42nd, yeah, would love to have your vote. But let's make sure that we get everyone situated for precinct first, and make sure that we can get everyone at the county convention that is supposed to be there, and make sure that we've got all our precinct leaders lined up. So I appreciate that.
I would also add, I think what they're really asking, Logan, they're asking about county chair. And so what that really means is, so you are going to elect as a precinct person. Yeah. At the convention, you will elect a chair and a vice chair that's on the county board. And they, at the next county board meeting, will elect chair and vice chair. That's how that works. And at that same meeting, we will also be electing what we're doing with at-larges, which are not necessarily associated with an area. And so it's there to make sure that there's all different kinds of diversity on our board. So there'll be 18 positions that are not associated. So there's many ways to serve. Of coming up. So
yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention this, and I know we're running a little long right now, and I appreciate everyone sticking this out with me. So the executive committee of the Louisville Democratic Party is made up of the LD chairs, vice chairs, and the at-larges. That meets on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So on May 28th, the newly elected legislative district chairs and vice chairs will convene. We'll congratulate everyone and say, hey, welcome to the new executive committee. Their first order of business will be to elect a new county party chair and vice chair. And then they'll have to be electing a new set of 18 at-large members And this is different than what we've done in the past because they have been previously tied to specific areas. But apparently that was not in compliance with the Kentucky Democratic Party bylaws. So what we're doing now is the at-larges are truly county at-larges. But they do have to meet certain geographic and diversity requirements just to make sure that they're all not from one specific area. So that's sort of like a guideline that we have to follow just to make sure that there's equal representation from around the county.
I'm seeing some people, you know what, I was about to type this, but let me just say it. I just realized there is not information about what the responsibilities are because that page got updated because there was no more registration for Precinct, right?
Okay.
You couldn't register anymore. So what I want you to do, I'm going to update a page. It's not reorg. It'll be say Precinct at the end. Give me till tomorrow and it'll all be on there. Okay. So it'll be louisvilledems.com/precinct and I'll update it all there. And you can look at what precinct responsibilities are. But I think above all, it's being creative and getting the word out in your precinct to people who, that need to know about elections and need to know about candidates. And we're going to have an unusual election this next time because in the 26th, we're going to have nonpartisan elections for the very first time. And people are going to need to know who the Democrats on the ballot are because there's not going to be a D or an R there this time for mayor or Metro Council. So those are big things. And then I always believe in being creative. We've had some people do some really fun stuff as precinct and LD chairs in their area. So it's like, think about how you connect with people. That is your magic. And that's how you organize and that's how you connect. And so there's some specific things, but you can put your own flair on it.
Yeah, we want people to be creative. I mean, the status quo obviously isn't working. So it's time for some new ideas. And I hope that people bring their new ideas to the party after this reorganization, because that's what this is all about. It's about new beginnings. Beth, any final questions before we sign off?
I see someone saying they're frustrated, so I'm curious what they're frustrated about.
Yeah,
put it in chat. Put it in the chat, and we'll see if we can fix it.
Yeah, I would honestly I get it. Like, I would be. This process has been traditionally long and frustrating. So anything that we can do to, what's that?
It's Byzantine. I mean, it's like a lot of these things are based on bylaws, and we're really trying really hard to make it where it fits this century and what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I put the LouisvilleDems.com precinct in the chat. So just copy that and give me till tomorrow, and I'll have it all written on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've got questions, if you're feeling a sense of frustration, like I get it. This, the process historically was set up to be, exclusive of people. It was so complicated. It's like, hey, you got to know someone to know what's going on. And we're trying to do the exact opposite of that this time around. So truly, like, if you've got questions, if you're feeling frustrations, like, send it to me and Beth, and we'll be happy to help.
Oh, yes, it is completely frustrating. I was like, what are you frustrated about? Let's talk about it. No, it's really frustrating. It's super frustrating. Yeah. And it's why we need everybody so much, Yeah. I got this, what's going to happen at the convention. I think the question is the county convention or the state convention. So give us state or county. County. Okay, just a real brief go through from donuts. Go through. Yeah. Just, not detail, just donuts and what's the things we're going to do.
Yeah. So, arrival, Hartford Hall, that big tower for JCTC. We'll gather in the main auditorium down in the basement. We'll call the convention to order. We'll hear from a couple of speakers to get us all jazzed up for the elections that we're about to have. Then we'll go to our respective legislative district classrooms, at which point in time the individual that is heading up that LD convention, so to speak, will call for nominations for LD chair. We'll have that vote. Then we'll call for LD vice chair, because remember, it has to be opposite genders. And so the person that wins the chair position will determine basically the gender of the individual that will be the vice chair. So once we do that, we will have that person that will be elected. So we'll have the chair and vice chair at that point. And then we'll do a call for nominations for state convention delegates. We'll collect all those. If there are fewer nominations than the allocation that district has, so if there's only 10 people that are nominated and you have 15 spots open, everyone's confirmed by affirmation, and you don't have to do a vote. If there's more, then you'll have to do a vote, and we'll all have ballots, and you'll write down the names of the individuals that you would like to vote for. And after that, you're done. So it should be pretty simple. Attire for county convention. Robin,
Costumes.
I'm going to wear, I'll wear jeans and like a sport coat. But that's just because I'm the chair. I kind of have to dress a little bit nicer. But you can wear whatever you want. It's dress to impress. Like,
do whatever you want to do. I mean, people are pretty cash too. I mean, we're asking you to come on a Saturday morning. It starts at 9 for donuts, Maria, and coffee, and that's when you get to talk and meet people. And then at 10 o'clock is when we it's a little after we start reading from the bylaws, which is fun to start. The call to convention, but yeah, 9 o'clock, 9 to 10 donuts, and then we dig in. So however that works for you.
Cool.
Any questions, y'all?
Going once, going twice. If there's no more, then let's go ahead and end it. And again, reach out to myself or Beth, chair@louisvilledems.com, or communications at louisvilledems.com.
And I've emailed you all. If you've signed up for anything, I've emailed you all. And you may get another one, because we may have to do a cleanup email. Yep. Thank you all so much.
Yep. See you.